Module 2, Lesson 4, Interpreting and Computing Division of a Fraction by a Fraction, Moore Model. So exactly what we did last Wednesday, dividing fractions by fraction. Now in your module, this is page 17 in your module, but on page 17, if you want to write C notes packet, because what I did was retype the notes. It's the same thing, but I retyped them to make them a little more user-friendly. So we'll be working out of the note packet. Now, if you look at the note packet, the first page and the second page we'll be doing together. The third page on top says exercises 1 through 5. That's your homework. And there are tables there for you to fill in for 1 through 5. There's 5 division equations, and you will do the tape diagram and the number line for all 5, and you can do them right in your notes packet. Now, if you get home and lose your notes packet, these are the 5 same questions that are on pages 19 and 20 in your module. So you could do the 19 and 20 in the module, but they're in your packet, and these have to be filled in, showing the equivalent, the tape, the number, and the quotient. So that's what your homework is, not the problem set like we usually do. But now we're going to start taking a look at our notes. All right, so let's get started. Whoops, I didn't erase the notes. Okay. Okay, let's try that again. Take a look at the opening exercise. Write at least 3 equivalent fractions for each fraction below. Be sure to show how the 2 fractions are related. Old school, going way back to ratios, going way back to elementary school, scaling up, scaling down. So let's take a look at the first fraction, 2/3. Well, if I multiply the numerator and denominator by 2, I realize that 2/3 is equivalent to 4/6. Remember, 2 over 2, anytime your numerator and denominator are the same, it's equal to 1. And what do we know? When we multiply the number by 1, we get the same number. We get the identity. So when we multiply by a fraction equal to 1, we're keeping the same value of the fraction. It just looks different. Okay? So that's why we don't say we're multiplying by 2, because that means something totally different. We're multiplying by 2 over 2. It means something different than just multiplying by 2. So the first example is 4/6. Can somebody come up with another example? Another equivalent fraction. Instead of multiplying by 2 over 2, we can multiply it by? Okay, so you multiply them both by 4 over 4. And you should be adding that in your notes. Show times 4 times 4. Okay? So the first fraction, right, times 4 times 4. Perfect, very good. Anybody have another example? Okay, and what would the equivalent fraction be? Good. What about 10 over 10? 20 over 30. Go easy. What about the next one, 10/12? Well, we could scale it down by dividing by 2 over 2. Or we could scale it back up. What's an equivalent fraction to 10/20? Yes. We can do it by 2 over 2. So 10 times 2 is 20. 12 times 2 is 24. What else could we do? Want to do by 10? 100 over 120. Okay? So a couple different equivalent fractions. This is going to come into play a little bit later in the lesson. So let's take a look at the first example, which should sound very familiar. Molly purchased 11/8 cups of strawberries. She eats 2/8 of a cup in a serving. How many servings did Molly purchase? So we have a division equation that we have to write. What do I always tell you to do? Use your visualization. Make a picture. What is it that you have? Show me. Go ahead, show me. Put your arms out. We have how much strawberries? How many strawberries? We have 11/8. We have 11/8. I'm scooping out 2/8 for this, 2/8 for this, 2/8 for this. So I want to know how many 2/8 cups are in my 11/8 bowl. So what would my division equation be? What do I have, and what am I separating it into? All right, so write that down, please. All right, so let's set up our number lines. You're doing it in your notes, so they're already set up for you. We're highlighting to the 11 because that's what we have. That's our quantity, 11/8. And we're going to circle groups of 2. Did you know that you could use brackets instead of circles if you want? I'm just going to show you in case you happen to see them. But you could use circles if you want. I like the groups. Sure. Pink or yellow or blue? Who else needs a highlighter? Oh my goodness. All right, so how many groups? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And how many are in that last group? Yeah, you. 1/2. I don't want to say names on the recordings. All right, so now how come for my tape diagram, if I'm working with 8s, how come there are 2 sets of tape diagrams here? How come there are 2 tape diagrams with 8s in each? It's an improper fraction, so we have more than a whole. 8/8 is a whole. We have more than that. So we needed, here's 8. And then another 3 makes 11. You look confused, ask the question.
Why do you separate circle 2?
Well, now that I highlighted 11/8, each box is an 8, and I highlighted 11 of them. I need groups of 2/8. So one scoop is going to have 2/8. So here's my big bucket of strawberries. Here's a scoop. Here's a scoop. Here's a scoop of 2/8. Here's a scoop of 2/8. Here's a scoop of 2/8. And there's a scoop of 2/8. But I don't have enough for this full scoop. So this scoop is only going to have half. 1 out of 2. So it's half. So I had 5 whole groups and a half. Love the questions. Keep them coming. Let's take a look up. Xavier was like, them looks like some good strawberries. I want some too. He also has 11/8 of a cup. But Xavier wants to freeze more than 2/8. He wants to freeze 2/3 of a cup at a time. So he has his 11/8, 3/4, 3/4, 3/4, 3/4. So how many 3/4 servings can he get out of 11/8? So what's my division equation now?
11 divided by 5.
Okay, so when I highlight my 11/8, let's highlight the 11/8 just like we did last time. But now I'm going to circle groups of 3/4. But wait a minute, what's the problem? What's the problem here? 3/4. What's my problem here?
Because the denominator is not the same.
I don't have common denominators. So I can't circle groups of 4ths because this is showing an 8. So this problem is different from the first example because it doesn't have common denominators. So what can I do?
Divided by 2.
What do I want to do? Don't tell me how. Tell me what do I want to do? Yeah, let's find common denominator. So what should my common denominator be? Let's go with 8 as our common denominator. So 3/4 is equivalent to what fraction? Yep. Very good. So write that down on your notes. So now I'm going to circle groups of 6. So here's a group of 6. Here's a group of 6. Now this is why sometimes we need to draw our number line longer than the quantity. The quantity was 11/8, but we extended our number line, and this is why we needed more to make a full group of 6. So I have one whole group here, and what's in this group? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of 6. Now again, down here I have 2 sets of tape diagrams. 2 sets of 8 because I need enough for 11/8. When it's an improper fraction, you're going to have to draw another set of tape diagrams. For improper fractions, you're going to have to draw another set of tape diagrams because it's more than a whole. So we shaded in 11/8, and we need a group of 6. Here's a group of 6. So here's 5, and we need a 6. Bless you. So we have one whole, and then 5, 6. You could circle them however you want. All right? You could always circle them like this. Six. And then leave that one open like they're connected. You can get creative circling. That's up to you. But make sure each group has 6 in it. Grab one from the bottom row. All right? So what we're going to do now is something a little different. We learned today that in order to divide fractions using the models, it comes in handy to have a common denominator. So you may have to change your division equation to one with common denominators. So in a minute, you're going to work with your groups where everybody provides feedback, we treat each other respectfully, everybody is on task and participating. And I'm going to stop the recording now, and then I'll post the answers to the recording later. All right, let's go over the answers. So for number 1, since the first fraction was an improper fraction, 6/2, the equivalent fraction also has to be an improper fraction. Because it's an improper fraction, we have more than one group of tape diagrams. And then your answer is 4 wholes. Number 2, your equivalent fraction is 10/15, so you had to draw 15. Why does this one have 2 quotients? You have to reduce. Right, so they're equivalent fractions. And number 3, 7/8 divided by 4/8 is your equivalent fraction. Check that you have the correct tape diagram and the correct number line. Since it's a proper fraction, we just have one tape diagram that shows 7 out of 8. And number 4, 12/20 divided by 5/20. The quotient is 2 2/5. Instead of drawing 20 all the way across, this is one tape diagram, 10/2, but it's still one tape diagram because all the boxes are connected and grouped together. And number 5. Now your homework tonight, all the boxes are going to be blank, and it's your job to draw the number line. It's your job to draw the tape diagram. It's your job to find the equivalent fraction. So now that you have an idea of what it's supposed to look like, this is what your homework should look like tonight. I'll put these answers back up tomorrow, and those are the answers for your homework, and we'll move on to lesson 5 tomorrow.